On the audio tape, the group's alleged leader, David Brian Stone, is angry about what he calls the New World Order taking over the U.S. Prosecutors say the Hutaris leader wanted to create his own country, carved out of 4 Michigan counties to defend itself against the so-called New World Order and the
of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. The Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in a new world order.
And those people who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global
conspiracy
government.
Theorists.
They've been crazy, but now they're right.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret.
And he's real. He's not fictional. He's not out of Hollywood or Hollyweird, as we're learning how to speak. But this is a genuine American hero just for any one of the many things that he's done. And God bless you, Colonel.
Thank you, sir.
Good to have you here.
Thank you, Tom. I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your schedule, especially trying to get through traffic to come and be part of this. While this is not a memorial service, Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to be in Oklahoma City for that. Nonetheless, every one of us are diminished by the death of any of us, because we are a nation. And I've told it to you many times. I'll say it again. I'm your brother whether you want me or not. I don't care what your creed, your color, I don't care what your size, your education, your background. If you're an American, then I'm there with my hand out to try to give you a hand up if you need it any time that I possibly can. And it's like having a part of your own body cut off, especially when it's through unnatural, tragic, horrific causes like we just saw in Oklahoma City. Now, we cannot bring those people back, but what we should do, if there is going to be a saving grace, as we petition God in our prayer, it is to find out the answers to these questions. Who, what, when, why, where, and how. Now, we know where, and we know when, but there are some unknowns right now. Who? We're seeing revealed on the news a couple of white Americans that seem to be right in the center of this thing. Why? That's completely unanswered at this time. We know when, we know where, but how did this occur? So, if I can bring anything to this forum to help you, it is the expertise that I have in these areas. And I want to try to explain to you in some terms that some of you might not understand. If you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone killer of John Fitzgerald Kennedy here in Dallas, Texas, November 1963, then you may not believe what I have to say. But if you will consider the things that I'm saying, if you will ponder the words that I have for you, then maybe you will see the truth. The truth isn't always dressed like you would like to have it. The king doesn't always wear clothes. Now, let's look at who. First of all, immediately, people were blaming the Islamic Mossad and their type of terrorist organizations. They've got several of them. The Hezbollah, as you know, most of them are jihad-oriented. They believe, and they're literally raised from the time that they're small children, that if you lose your life in a righteous mission in warfare, that you go straight to heaven. As a matter of fact, heaven is described in the Holy Quran as being green fields and clear, cool water and doe-eyed, buxomy women. I see the hand of man in the writing of the Holy Quran, and you've got to understand where Muhammad was. They were trying to take over Mecca at that time. It was occupied by idol worshippers. They needed to organize those Bedouins. Now, immediately we branded the Islamic Jihad movement for this because we said it was a copycat. It was the same chemical compound that was exploded in the New York Trade Center. Immediately, I began telling people on my radio broadcast, it doesn't make sense to me. And here's what you should understand. When you're dealing with Islamics, the militant side of it, they follow the Holy Quran. The Quran says, you cannot do unto your enemies until they do unto you, and then you must return to them what they have done to you. Meaning that you cannot go out and invent something. For example, when I was training Afghans in 1986, a man named Loy came up to me and said, one of the leaders, and said, Colonel, if we follow what you're teaching us, we will take no casualties. I said, you got it, Loy. This means that you live and let the Soviets die that are in your country. That's the whole idea. And he said, but Colonel, you've read our Holy Quran. You know that we have to have revenge. We cannot do anything to them unless they have done something to us. And I said, listen, Loy, you do very well running barefooted across the minefields that the Soviets have set up, charging 12.7 heavy machine guns. You don't need my instruction for revenge. You need my instruction for the force multipliers that will let you stay alive under such conditions. And we both kind of chuckled about it. And so when we downed, remember the Iranian Airbus? We shot it down when we were in the Gulf because we thought it was a MiG. And we killed hundreds of innocent people. The Holy Quran demands, and you can just count on it, it's going to happen, that revenge be taken. What happened? What was the revenge? Pan Am 103 went down over Lockerbie, Scotland. Tit for tat. When we destroyed Saddam Hussein's economy in 1990 through George Bush's New World Order forces over there, you could bet that we were going to get the same, some type of symbolic in kind. And what happened? 2 years later, 2 years ago, we ended up having the World Trade Center, 1990, I guess it was 2 years ago, 1993, it blew up. The World Trade Center, because most of the world, 27 nations, were aligned in America against Iraq, an Islamic country. Tit for tat. Right now, people are in New York being tried for that crime. There is nothing that has happened that would cause the Islamic Jihad to come here and detonate a bomb that is their signature in such a way. So, literally, you can rule out the Islamic Jihad as being behind this. Now, the second group of people that were accused, almost instantly, CBS was talking to the Pentagon, saying, could this be homegrown terrorism? And could this just be patriots? Could this be people that are angry, trying to make a statement because it's exactly the same time on exactly the same day, 2 years after Waco and the Branch Davidian? Friends, let me explain something to you. You've seen it probably 100 times on television. You'll probably see it 100 more. I don't know whether you're ever going to hear an accurate description. The destruction in Oklahoma City of a 9-story government building was a Rembrandt. It was a masterpiece of science and art put together. If you'll notice, none of the other buildings, even though there were 2 people discovered today dead across the street, none of the other buildings suffered any kind of measurable collateral damage, as the Pentagon has chosen to call it. This was not an amateur, let's go down because we're mad at the IRS and blow up some ammonium nitrate and diesel fuel. This was masterful.